Text 55. Know me to be the supreme Brahman, the all-pervading supersoul, through whom the sleeping living entity can understand his dreaming condition and his happiness beyond the activities of the material senses. That is to say, I am the cause of all the activities of the sleeping living being. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When the living entity becomes free from false ego, he understands his superior position as a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Part and parcel of the pleasure potency of the Lord. Thus, due to Brahman, even while sleeping, the living entity can enjoy. The Lord says, the Brahman, that the Paramatma, and that Bhagavan are I, myself. This is noted by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Sama Sandarbha. Text 56. If one's dreams during sleep are merely subject matters witnessed by the Supersoul, how can the living entity, who is different from the Supersoul, remember the activities of dreams? The experiences of one person cannot be understood by another. Therefore, the knower of the facts, the living entity, who inquires into the incident manifested in dreams and wakefulness, is different from the circumstantial activities. That knowing factor is Brahman. In other words, the quality of knowing belongs to the living entities and to the Supreme Soul. Thus, the living entity can also experience the activities of dreams and wakefulness. In both stages, the knower is unchanged, but is qualitatively one with the Supreme Brahman. You all understood that, right? No. Well, Prabhupada gave a purport. In knowledge, the living entity is qualitatively one with the Supreme Brahman, but the quantity of the Supreme Brahman is not the same as that of the living entity, who is part of Brahman. Because the living entity is Brahman in quality, he can remember the past activities of dreams and also know the present activities of wakefulness. Text 57. Yat etad rimstam puna pumsa. I wish we had a big Bhagavatam here. It's very difficult, for me at least, to see this stuff. Matbhavam vinam atmana tata samsara itasya dihat deha mrite mriti yadetad vrimstam pumsa yadetad vrimstam pumsa madbhavam vinnamatmana tata samsara etasya dehaddeho mriti mriti dehaddeho mriti mriti yadetad vrimstam pumsa madbhavam vinam atmanah tata samsara etasya dehat deho mrite mriti. Yad, which, etat, this, that one, Vishtam, forgotten, Pumsha, of the living entity, Madbhavam, my spiritual position, Binam, separation, Atmana, from the Supreme Soul, Tata, from that, Samsara, material conditional life, Etasya, of the living entity, Dehat, from one body, Deha, another body, Mrite, from one death, Mriti, another death. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Listen carefully. When a living entity, thinking himself different from me, forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me, in eternal knowledge and bliss, his material conditional life begins. In other words, instead of identifying his interest with mine, he becomes interested in his bodily expansions like his wife, children, and material possessions. In this way, by the influence of his actions, one body comes from another, and after one death, another death takes place. Purport. Generally, the Mayavadi philosophers or persons influenced by Mayavad philosophers think themselves as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the cause of their conditional life. As stated by the Vaishnava poet Jagadananda Pandit in his Prema Vivarta, Krishna Bahirmukhahan bhogavanchakari, nikatashta maya tare japatiya dhare. As soon as a living entity forgets his conditional position and endeavors to become one with the Supreme, his conditional life begins. The conception that the Supreme Brahman and the living entity are equal not only in quality but also in quantity is the cause of conditional life. If one forgets the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entity, his conditional life begins. Conditional life means giving up one body to accept another and undergoing death to accept death again. The Mayavadi philosophers teach the philosophy of Tattvam Asi in terms saying, you are the same as God. He forgets that Tattvam Asi applies in terms of the marginal position of the living entity, who is like sunshine. There is heat and light in the sun, and there is heat and light in the sunshine, and thus they are qualitatively one. But one should not forget that the sunshine rests on the sun. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi patishtanam. I am the original Brahman. I am the original source of Brahman. The sunshine is important because of the presence of the sun globe. It is not that the sun globe is important because of the all-pervasiveness of the sunshine. Forgetfulness and misunderstandings of this fact is called Maya, because of forgetfulness of one's constitutional position and that of the Supreme Lord. One comes into Maya or samsara, conditional life. In this regard, Madhvacharya says, Sarva binam paratmanam vishsmaram samsarit iha abhinam samsmaram yati tamo nastyatra samshaya. One who thinks that the living entity is non-different in all respects from the Supreme Lord, there is no doubt that he is in ignorance. It'll be gone. Just like when we wake up from dreams, it's inconsequential. It doesn't matter. It was just a dream. Some people think they're very significant, of course, but actually they're not. They're just dreams. They're just a concoction of the mind. And the living entity that is going here, going there, or seeing this and seeing that. And while it's happening, it seems very real. Fantastic things sometimes. Unbelievable stuff. And sometimes more mundane things. But in all cases, as soon as you wake up, the alarm bell goes, or something wakes you up, some noise, whatever. It's gone. It doesn't matter anymore. And we have to come to the understanding that this life that we're living, this reality, is the same. It's the same situation. It's just a dream state. Why did we come to this dream state? That's covered in this 69, this verse. Because we forgot. We somehow or other, we won't get into that discussion about how it happens. There's a lot of discussion about that. People have different ideas. But Prabhupada said, it doesn't matter. You're here. It doesn't matter how you got here, you're here. So how to get out, that's the important question now. Not how you came. How he came is basically outlined here. Somehow or other, we got the idea that we are different from the Lord. That because we do have many of the qualities of the Lord. Not all the qualities. That discussion is there. The Acharyas go into detail, Rupa Goswami. But I forget the percentage, 56% or 64%, something like that. Somewhere in that range. We have the same qualities as the Lord. And because we have those same qualities, that includes the independence. It's minute, but it's there. And so we're thinking somehow that we're different, then our conditional life begins. When a living entity, thinking himself different from me, forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me in eternal knowledge and bliss, his material conditional life begins. We stop identifying our interests with Krishna, with the Lord's. And we become interested in the bodily expansions. Wife, children, family, material possessions. And so we enter this life of birth and death, birth and death. And we've been here since time immemorial. We can't even measure how long we've been here in this cycle, tide, in Maya. So, how to get back? What to do? How to realize? It says here it's just a dream, so it's just a dream. So, what to do? What do we do about it? How do we get out of this dreaming state? That's what concerns us, or should be concerning us. And it concerns everyone here, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here if it didn't concern us. So it concerns us, and we're on that, we're stepping on that path, and we're trying to develop our original consciousness. So it's said that this is only possible by the mercy of the devotees, by the grace of the devotees. So what did the devotees do? They starting from Mahaprabhu, this age, he gave us the method. Chaito Darpanam Mahajanam. We have to cleanse off the heart. We have to, unlimited lifetimes we've been in this birth, death, old age, disease. We've been in this in many different species, just going round and round and round. And we have accumulated so many, by our own actions, so much dirt, so much darkness in our heart, covered over. So Chaito Darpana Marjanam, we have to cleanse the mirror of the heart. And that that cleansing process is Samkirtan, chanting, Kirtan, Samkirtan, chanting the holy names of the Lord. Why Samkirtan? Why can't we just do it alone? Can we do it alone? Is it? I mean, the holy name is very powerful, right? All powerful. We can sit in the forest and chant Hare Krishna, no? We could do that. We could try and do that. We could try and do it. But it's not really for us, We need, the example is given of the sticks. One stick is very easily broken, but you take a bunch of sticks, it's very hard to break it. So that's the association of devotees, that's the importance of the association with it. That's the importance of Samkirtan. Together, chanting together. So we help each other. We give strength to each other. We take shelter of each other. And then that mercy is there also, that mercy of the devotees. And it says, you need that. You need that mercy. So the mercy came from Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, all our previous acharyas. Prabhupada brought it to us in the Western world. He took it all over the world. So that was very merciful, compassionate action. And we are continuing in that line because we are followers of Srila Prabhupada. So we want to follow his example. What was his example? He went out and did Samkirtan, starting in Tompkins Square. He did it here in India, but when he went to the West to start his mission, then it was in that place over there, New York City. And, here we are so many years later. 50 years, they say. 50 years later. Here we are. By his causeless mercy, we are here. And we have to share that. Share that. That's the mission. That's the mission. Because we've forgotten our constitutional position. We're still in that dream state. Even as devotees, we're still subject to that. Maybe some of you are already awake. But I think a lot of us are still sleeping. Still sleeping. And we need to wake up. Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Koto nita jago maya. Wake up, sleeping souls. That's what's being discussed here. We're asleep. We're in a dream state. And Gaura Chandra says, take the call, katal, and chant. Enechi Osho di Maya. He brought the medicine. What's that medicine? The holy name of the Lord. So we take it, we chant our japa, we chant congregationally. We distribute, that's also Samkirtan, we distribute Prabhupada's message, Prabhupada's books, that's also Samkirtan. And in that way, we purify ourselves and help others. And that helping others also helps us. So it's a very nice process. It's a very nice process. And it's the process for this age. And it's the mission of our acharyas. And by participating in that mission, by participating in the mission, we open that flow of mercy upon us. It's there, it's flowing, but we have to take advantage of it. We have to swim in that ocean. It says here that I've got 5 minutes. Are there any questions? Comments? There's a lot more in these verses, let me tell you. These are very, there's a lot of technical stuff here. But the main message is, we're in Maya. we're dreaming. And we have to wake up. Hare Krishna. If there is a mic, it would help the people who are trying to listen on the radio and computer.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So Srila Prabhupada is totally awake. You said that many of us are sleeping. I was wondering, how much benefit do we get from hearing from devotees within our movement? Because they may not be entirely awake. They're also going through their own purification. So if you could just comment on how beneficial is it hearing from Vaishnavas who still may not be totally awake, and how does that work?
We may be asleep. I'm definitely asleep. But as long as I'm repeating the message, that's perfect. The message is perfect. I may be imperfect, the speaker may be imperfect, but the message is perfect. So there's no problem with hearing even from the little Saraswati, who says, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You should worship him. She's a little girl. And that was an interaction with, when Prabhupada was present. She was Shamsundar's daughter. She's a little thing. But she was saying like that. And it's perfect. What's wrong with it? She's not, she's just a little kid. What does she know? She knows that Krishna is God. That's enough. That's perfect. So it's the message which is perfect. And so therefore it's important for us that we repeat. We may say it in a different way, but we have to present the message, the Bhaktivedanta purports, because they are perfect. We may be imperfect, but the message is perfect. That's the point.
You're mentioning how the conditions that the soul has to desire to go back to Godhead to be able to become purified. And Krishna says that when someone does devotional service, that they develop, it's never lost. There's no loss of diminution if you do some devotional service, and then even if you quit doing devotional service again, someday again you'll take up the process. In the Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada mentions that devotional service is so perfect that Krishna forcibly, once somebody begins, and so forcibly will take them back to Godhead. But at the same time, we know that it's always a decision. Krishna. So there's no force. Krishna doesn't force, but at the same time, he says like he does. So once somebody starts devotional service, they quit doing it. How is it that what happens that makes them take it back up again in some future time?
What is it that causes them to come back? It's the association of devotees. It's the mercy of the devotees. Their devotional service, whatever accrued devotional service that they have, is theirs, and it can't be touched. It doesn't diminish, as you said. But Krishna will make arrangements so that they come somehow or other. They're forced to come back into connection. It's all about connection and association, right? Due to offenses or bad behavior, whatever, somehow or other we may fall away from the process. It happens on a daily basis, like in little portions, right? It's not that we're 24 hours a day engaged in pure devotional service, right? Even on a daily basis, there's bits and pieces where, more or less, where we're not acting properly. right? But then we come to the temple, or we bump into a devotee, and he or she reminds us, and then again we're connected. So the same thing. It may be an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours, or it may be 5 days or 5 months or 5 years. But somehow the arrangement is made by the Lord to bring us back into connection. So this is not something that happens. This is happening all day long, every day. That's why it's highly recommended that we live in the association of devotees, because it's very easy for us to become sidetracked and go off on a tangent, right? We see it in our daily lives, and we see it in the lives of associates on a bigger level, like that you were talking about. Maybe go away for years. But then when they come back and they get the association, they get the taste again, it's like they never left. Immediately it's like it's on. And that's again the example of the dream. They went back into the dream, and then they got woken up again a little bit, and then you see it's like, okay, it's on again, and they're engaging, and they have something to say, and they can speak, because they can speak from their memory, and the realizations start to come back, and then they make more advancement. I say they, I'm talking about us. Yes? Is it okay? Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.